Thanks for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an e-commerce site for sale in the accessories apparel niche, selling elastic bands. This is a public listing, and the URL for this one is elasticbandco.com. The site makes almost $9,000 per month, with close to $7,000 per month in net profit. The listing number on this one is 40217. Now, we do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making your buying decision. We've got the seller Sean with us today to go through the site and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. Thanks for coming on, Sean. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Dustin.
All right, man. So let's do a quick summary. The site was built in January 2013. The monthly revenue on this is $8,599.40. We've got expenses of just under $2,000 a month. And the net profit is about $6,700 a month, and it gets a little over 3,000 page views per month. Does that sound about right?
Uh-huh.
Great. All right. So, Sean, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running websites or online businesses?
Sure. So I guess my first kind of dive into the sector was back in 2007 when I started a clothing company with my brother while I was still in college. So that was my first e-commerce kind of business there. And then from that one, we launched a number of other e-commerce sites in the design and clothing space, all of which I pretty much did all of the both design and e-commerce sites in pretty much every different e-commerce platform available. I've done Joomla, WordPress, haven't done Drupal, a few others, Yahoo, the whole bit. So I've been kind of in the game for quite some time now. I understand the e-commerce sector and basically, the whole SEO side and also in the design and printing side. So that's kind of how we got started in this sector.
It sounds funny to say, that you've been doing this a long time, but 2007 in the online world is a long time, right? It's like you've been doing this for 8 years now. So yeah, that is a while. And funny you mentioned Yahoo. Were you talking like Yahoo stores, man? That's back in the day.
Yeah, that was actually, it's kind of a funny story. We had a friend that was out here selling, he had an apparel website. And this was kind of before all the big e-commerce sites were out. And I had no idea that the Yahoo stores was a store. So I actually tried to duplicate Yahoo stores just writing HTML. And then I figured out, sifting through the code, I was like, wait a minute, this is already built.
And that's when
exactly, yeah. So that's when we launched our Yahoo store back in 2007 to start selling it's a university-based clothing apparel site.
It's too bad you didn't get a Shopify running back then in 2007. You'd have made a killing, man.
Yeah. So I was going into the wrong business, I guess. Should have started as an e-commerce platform instead.
It's funny looking back how hard stores were to build back then compared to how easy it is today, right? And, I've taken a little bit of guff from people saying, you make it sound like it's so easy to set up a domain and set up an online business. I'm like, well, it kind of is. I mean, especially if you compare it to, even just 8 years ago, how much more difficult it was.
Oh, yeah. It was a different world back then. We were one of the original people to start advertising on Facebook. So I think Facebook launched their ad platform around 06, 07. People weren't really using it at the time. So we were getting crazy, traffic from, that's basically how we started our business. I started with my brother in college, and then as in my last semester, I told him, I was like, hey, you know what, if we can make this work as a business, I will quit my job. So I actually got hired, got a full-time position out of college, right kind of during the stock market crash, surprisingly. And we got it to work, and that was partly due to Facebook advertising and just the low cost of ads. This was way before, the big businesses were advertising like Visa or all the big name brands kind of hopped on later, probably about 6 months to a year after we started. So it gave us a really good boost that got us started in the business. Without that, I'm not sure we could have reached.
Yeah, the Facebook ads platform has really grown. I mean, from how it started off, it was, kind of weak sauce, honestly, and it's significantly better now. Let's get back to this site in particular. How did you come up with the idea to start this site, elasticbandco.com?
Sure. So with the evolution of our clothing businesses, I kind of came upon a certain formula that works very well in regards to kind of custom products. And so actually this particular company is an extension of the original kind of business that I started and the framework and platform that I essentially developed over, 6-7 years. And it came when a friend of a friend asked to print on this item. And I didn't know much about it at the time, so I did some research and found out that it's actually a pretty profitable item, and it's a popular item with the female community. And I decided to try and take a stab at making these items. And it's actually through a number of different iterations and different processes that I tried to actually make this efficient that I actually found out, kind of different ways to produce this product. So that's when I said, hey, well, I've already got all this knowledge and, I already have all the hosting and everything set up. So I threw up a website kind of using the same methods, and then it just took off.
Let's talk a little bit about niche selection. Now, you got into this because it was an iteration or a variation of something you were already doing, but why this specifically? You got a friend that needed some elastic bands or was asking about it, asking to print them, and then you just, how did you know this was potentially a business?
So, well, one of the reasons why I wanted to get into it or any other product for that matter was to sort of balance out our revenue. So it's pretty seasonal with, obviously, in the college market and, college, high school, it's pretty seasonal. You get Christmas and then you get, a couple seasons during, rush week and obviously when summer's out, and during certain parts of the year, the revenue is pretty slow. So I wanted something that would kind of fill the gap or at least raise the baseline. And once I started to do some more research on this sector, and it's basically kind of how every business gets started. You do the research, you find out that no one else is doing it, and you try and do it yourself. So that's kind of how it came about.
What kind of research were you doing? Are you talking like keyword research? Are you talking about like market research and looking at competition? How did you go about doing that research?
Yes, both in competition and mostly product margin. It's a really low cost item with high margin, so the overhead is pretty minimal. The risk was very low, so there was really no reason not to do it. And there weren't very many people doing it.
Let's talk a little bit about your reason for sale. Why are you selling the site instead of just keeping it or growing it?
Sure. Like I said, I have 3 other businesses that I'm running. I'm looking to narrow my focus and get back into what I started out. My time is spread pretty thin across the other businesses, and I feel like it's kind of like juggling. You're tossing up 3 or 4 balls, and then you throw another one in the mix, and then you don't want to drop them. So I feel like right now is a good time to hand the business off. It's had pretty steady growth over the last 2.5 years, going into 3 years, and I feel like there's a lot of potential for someone who wants to take this to the next level. I don't think that's something that I necessarily want to do. I've tried different avenues, and it is a great business. I have a roadmap to take it further. I think in order for me to do that, as well as juggling the other businesses without letting them completely just die, I would have to take on probably another partner or really scale up the business. So I think for a buyer that already has the infrastructure in place, it would be a really easy and great opportunity for them to take what I've built and make it into something much greater.
So for you, there's an opportunity cost, right? So you've got these other businesses going, they're going well, and it's like you can't keep juggling everything, so this one's got to go. What's the plan for the cash when you sell? Are you going to buy inventory for your other businesses? Are you taking a trip to Hawaii? What are your plans?
Well, I have an application that I'm working on with a friend that's at the point now that we're looking for investment capital to take that to the next level. And that's not something I can go to someone and say, hey, give me $100,000, but I want a $75,000 salary. So part of it is going to be obviously living expenses, and then part of it would be to go towards the other businesses to build them up or kind of get them back up into shape where I left them off to focus on this business, get them going again, and then hope to sell those as well. Or basically, I'm really hoping on, well, the main focus is to get the application running. Obviously, that's a very risky business, especially it's not something that will be revenue generating. It's not a product in the sense that I could sell. So that would require a bit of downtime in terms of revenue for me and a lot more time, in design.
So you're in the position where, you've got these other businesses that you've neglected a bit and you kind of want to bring them back around. So selling this business will give you the runway to do both that and also pay your living expenses while you get the app business up and running and look for some investment. And obviously you can't use that investment for your salary, so this gives you runway to kind of get that up running and off the ground.
Yeah, and this business, the other businesses are pretty much on autopilot. They do need a little bit of kind of refreshing. I'm actually working on, or having someone else work on a redesign for the other website to kind of refresh that. But this business in particular has had a pretty nice growth trajectory without a whole lot of kind of input from me, which is awesome.
Let's talk about that growth trajectory just a little bit. So now this business was started back in January 2013. You've been running it since then. Was it an immediate winner? Did it start making cash right away, or did it take 3 to 6 months to get up and running? How did that work?
It was pretty much an immediate winner. I think I purchased the domain in January, and then I built the website and had everything up and running in the first sale in April, I believe. So it was just a couple months from the idea to the first sale. I put up a whole list of products and all the design options and stuff like that. And then it was pretty steady from there. And we've had about 300% growth year over year, and we're projecting to hit that growth trajectory this year as well.
So when you started the business in January 2013, did you buy inventory right away? Like, how did that work?
Yeah, so I bought a little bit of inventory. Obviously, I had no idea what sort of volume I could do, but I wanted to have inventory available on both the retail and wholesale side. So the original, when I looked around on the web, I said, wow, these items are selling for $2-3 a piece. You can go to Nordstrom's or Anthropologie or local boutique, and you'll see these items selling for $3 a piece, and the margins are huge. So I was like, wow, okay, let's try that. The retail side is there's just a lot of it out there. So my main focus, and along with my other businesses, are wholesale. And the wholesale stuff is on demand. So when the order is placed, I have sources for inventory that I can easily just go get, and the lead time is typically 1 to 2 weeks, so it's plenty of time to process the order. So it didn't really require a huge investment in inventory in the beginning.
Were you starting off with wholesale in the beginning, or did you start retail and then realize there's a lot of opportunity in wholesale after the fact?
Yeah, so the main idea in the beginning was retail, and then the retail, it's a different strategy than wholesale. I eventually transitioned more to focusing on the wholesale and not putting a whole lot of effort into the retail. So I'd say the mix is...
Yeah, what's the breakdown right now between wholesale and retail?
It's almost 100% wholesale.
Gotcha. Okay, so...
It's a very, very small percentage in retail, which is, a possible opportunity.
Okay, I got you. So I had a little bit of experience when I was in college, and I was selling stuff on eBay. And this is way back in the day, man. We're talking 2002, 2003 now. And I was supplying baby G watches, and I had great margins. I think you were buying them from me for, $15 to $20, and they only cost me like $5 or something, $4 or $5 to get. But my biggest problem was the customer service. People had tons of questions about these watches, and yes, the margins were great or good, but like I spent so much time on customer service, it was killing me. How have you solved that problem? Is there not as many issues in wholesale, or is it that the volume is enough to where it's worth answering the question?
I'd say both. And again, this is a problem that I was wanting to solve with the other businesses, which in a design-based business, it's the back and forth is just such a headache. So my solution to that was to have the online design tool that people can go in and design and purchase whatever they want. And so that takes a lot of the customer service out. We do get people, emailing pretty much on a daily basis, but they're pretty simple emails, and it's kind of like a form letter response. Not that I copy and paste it, but it's usually the same response. And then I just direct them to the proper pages and with the right information, or just a simple phone call to walk them through it, and that's it.
So you don't have any virtual assistants or anything to handle the emails right now. That's something you do yourself, correct?
Yes. Yeah. No, I like to speak with the customers and reply to them. I mean, that's essentially the entire business. Locking down those sales, I wouldn't really trust another person to do that, and it's really not much of an issue.
Cool. Yeah, I think for any buyer taking this over, they probably want to handle some of that communication at first themselves to start. But honestly, I think that's an opportunity for someone to take that customer service and hand it off, especially if they already have a team and they have other businesses where they already have people handling that customer service. They could train them up and hand that off, and that would save on some time. Tell me what you did with this website that just worked, that, either from the beginning or later on you realized this is a winner. I think I can apply this to other businesses. I'm really glad I did this.
Yes, it was definitely the product or the kind of software mix that I developed over the years that I found to be definitely just a winning solution. You can apply it to so many other businesses, and then you just put it in front of people and it works.
So the ability for people to kind of design their own and choose their own is something that they connect with more. It's like, they feel like they have ownership of it. It's similar to my niece really loves those American dolls, right, where you can pick and choose the exact doll that you want and the exact styles. It's kind of a version of that where, you have more ownership of it if you're the one who designed it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's super user friendly, and just the ease of the platform and the ability for them to make it their own and to see it in real time. It's just an easy process.
What have you tried with this site that just didn't work? For whatever reason, either you couldn't get it to work or you just think that the idea was a loser and you had to toss it. It wasn't such a win here.
Yeah. So, it was a while back, at least 2 years ago, probably about when I was getting started. I had the idea that I was going to get this mailing list of all the, fitness studios in the area and send out these mailers, little, 4x6 or 5x8 postcards with, free samples. And that was the $1 million ticket right there. And that when I was going to send those out, everyone was going to call me up and order tons and tons of these products. And it was just a big flop.
Yeah, we had funny you talk about mailers. I was in the mortgage business, and we did some mailers. I split a campaign with someone else. We were paying $37.50 each a month. We sent out a bunch of mailers, and we're like, we'll just sit back and let the leads roll in for people that want to refinance or whatever. Yeah, not so much, man. Big waste of money. So, yeah, I feel you on the mailers. Some people make mailers work, man, but, yeah.
Yeah, and I thought it was in theory, it's a great idea. I worked with the guy, selling me the mailers, obviously, and he's like, yeah, well, we'll get this perfect list, and we'll work together on a promotion, because obviously people want free stuff, so let's do a great promotion and a coupon, and it'll be foolproof. And it just, I don't know. He said that most, there's a certain percentage that are just going to go straight to the trash can, but I thought since it was more of a business to business, that it would work. But,
live and learn, right? Tell me a little bit about the, breakdown of traffic. So what percentage is organic, referral, direct, and social?
The majority of the traffic is organic. We do a little bit of Instagram stuff, which is obviously free. We do a little bit of Facebook here and there, but we don't want to hockey stick the sales because, we don't want to get kind of crushed under our own weight of orders. I like to keep it at a manageable level. So the orders have been coming in pretty consistent. There's never really a time where we're like sitting on our thumbs and, it's like, okay, when are the orders going to come in? So there's never really been a need to spend lots of money on advertising, on paid advertising. And our organic search results are, top position. So it's been pretty good for what, for basically, obviously for getting it for free, it's kind of hard to beat. So we've never really felt the need to spend.
Have you ever tried Google AdWords? Was it something that you tried and didn't work, or were you like from the beginning you were like, I don't really know how I could target this. I just don't really see how it would make sense.
I did. So there's a period of time, and maybe in the beginning, maybe 6 to 8 months into it, when I launched an SEO campaign, which actually a friend of mine had the SEO company, so I had him helping me out. And through something happened with the Google ranking, and the website just disappeared off the map. So then I did Google ads to fill the gap. That has since, it quickly recovered and everything reverted back, but it was kind of scary for a little bit that it was like, oh, what happened? So I did use some Google ads. I think they work, but it's just, I feel like it's just throwing revenue out the window when I'm in the top spot. So if I wasn't in the top spot, I would feel more inclined to do paid advertising, but as long as I'm in that top position, then I think paid advertising isn't necessarily needed.
And it really digs into your margins too. Tell me, when did you get hit with Google, start doing the ads, and when did the site recover?
That was probably late 2013, I think. The site was down for a couple weeks out of the rankings, and for some reason, it never really did pinpoint the reason why it happened. I think it had something to do with some other domains that we were using to direct traffic to the site, and then we just shut those down, and then it returned. So all those other domains are gone.
So you were using some secondary domains, whatever, to redirect traffic to the site. Once you drop those, site recovered. That makes sense. Tell me about your customers. What percentage of the wholesale customers are rebuys?
It's a smaller percentage. A lot of our customers, well, we have a very wide range of users or customers that they're purchasing for so many different applications. Some aren't necessarily repeat applications. It's for an event that they might be having, or grand opening or store opening or something like that. But some of the events, or kind of more retail items, like some of our customers sell retail, so they'll reorder. But I'd say it's a smaller percentage. I'd say maybe 10% or less.
Okay, so a lot of this is coming from, and your type of customer is, they're grand openings, it's event-based, but it's often like a one-time thing. So would it make any sense, you think, for a new buyer to hook up with event organizers or event companies and be one of the suppliers for them? That would seem to be kind of a good move.
Definitely, yeah. There's definitely some key players that you could get in touch with and to kind of get in the pipeline for their kind of, their products. We do a lot of work with marketing companies, and they source us for a lot of their projects.
Gotcha.
Obviously, they have all the customers, and they just funnel it down.
So how stable are their earnings? Is this up 30% one month and down 20% the next month, or is it more stable than that?
So the earnings sort of has a baseline that is pretty stable, and then it goes, I wouldn't necessarily say it goes down from there. I'd say it goes up. So occasionally we'll get some really big orders, and that will spike our monthly sales for that month. But it's usually pretty flat. So if you subtract out all the big orders, the sales volume is pretty steady, but then you're getting these big orders, which we've started to take on more and more of these big orders because we're becoming more efficient, and our suppliers, or we've been sourcing, getting help. So we've been able to accommodate a lot of these bigger orders, which is accounting for our increasing revenue.
Gotcha. So how much content is on the site, and then how many SKUs do you have with the business?
We have quite a bit. So one of the strategies, obviously, that I use in the prior businesses that I applied to this one is definitely getting products on the site. So I've created a ton of, and that's where the retail wholesale comes in, is I use the retail to help with SEO. And so the retail brings the customer, and then they funnel to the wholesale. So there's, well over, I'd say 100, 150 different products, maybe more, that they can be expanded. I've built out a bunch of different categories, different packs, 3-packs, 6-packs, individuals, seasonal, causes, places, fitness, patterns, celebrations. to obviously to add content, because when someone comes to the site, you want them to kind of browse around, hang around for a little bit. Maybe they do want some of the retail items, or maybe they want to design their own. So the sales funnel is definitely towards creating wholesale items because the volume is larger, as opposed to, them buying maybe 5 individual hair ties.
Gotcha. So 150 different products are on there, but it's really kind of not a smoke screen, but it's to kind of it's to highlight the product so that people can then come in and purchase in bulk. That's really the business driver on this, right?
Correct. Yeah, and then sometimes they're good for samples.
How much content is on the site? So how many pages, blog posts, that kind of thing do you have?
I don't have a blog portion because it just took up way too much time. I tried to start it, but it just generating the unique content, because obviously copying content from other places is a big no-no, and that would just ruin the site. So that's not something that I ever wanted to do. And it's, like I said before, the volume or the orders were just, there were enough that I couldn't handle it. So the content now is our gallery page. So all of our orders or Instagram photos post to our gallery page, which adds content. And then I started to create sort of informational pages on the different sectors. So there's marketing, promotional, special events, VIP, wholesale, athletic, causes, and there's some content for each one of those different sectors, which could...
There's not a ton of content on the site. That seems like a bit of an opportunity. Let's talk a bit about the opportunities. One I already mentioned is, obviously the event organizers, event planners, and as you mentioned, some marketing agencies. There's opportunity to expand those relationships or to really kind of dig into them even further. What other opportunities do you think there are? Like if someone wanted to, they want like a nice slow growth approach to this business. They want to grow, 30 to 50% year over year. What advice do you have for them?
Sure. Well, definitely adding content to the site is always good in any situation. Having new content will help, SEO in that. We have been developing some new items, basically different vessels to sell the same product. Sort of like a burrito and a quesadilla and a taco is essentially the same thing, just with a different name. Mm-hmm. In a different size. So that's one way. Some other opportunities, like I said before, is in more marketing. Definitely Facebook. I've never really been able to dominate or master the art of getting Facebook likes. Back in the day, it was a little easier before they changed their whole algorithm thing where you have to pay for it. So now, ever since they changed that, I've been less inclined to put efforts into Facebook content and getting likes, because you essentially have to pay to get them and you have to pay to use them.
You do, Sean. I got to tell you though, from my perspective, at least on the retail side, I see how it might be a little more difficult wholesale. But I'd see there's huge opportunity on Facebook because you're able to target the exact end user. So at least on the retail side, and I think you could really build a popular brand here. I'm not sure how many wholesale customers that would drive, but I think you could definitely build a popular Facebook page in the space for people that do this on a regular basis. I'm not the guy for that, but there are people out there that can.
No, I definitely agree, because I've done little tests here and there, maybe $20, $5, $10, little ad spends, and it definitely does create some buzz, and it does create traffic because I can see what people are creating on the website, and I can see how it correlates to the markets that I target on Facebook. So it does work. The exact conversion rate, I'm not sure what it would be, but it's a great platform. So it's definitely an opportunity that, we are not currently utilizing. Definitely seeking new distribution points is a great opportunity to grow steadily. Like I said, our main distribution point is through our organic search. People find us and they keep us really busy. So I think doing the opposite, going out and seeking and finding some new distribution points, even if it's like a local boutique. I have a ton of different ideas for new distribution points that I'd be happy to discuss with the buyer in terms of growing, getting new distribution points aside or basically offline.
What's your customer avatar for the end user here? Are we talking like, 15 to 25-year-old girls? Are we talking, middle-aged women? Like, what's the demo?
So on the retail side, it is that younger female demographic. The wholesale side is the older, maybe business owner or a marketing company We've actually done work for some pretty large companies. We've done stuff for Unilever. We've done stuff for actually a Tampax campaign. They're actually doing a reorder. Large cheer companies. We've done stuff for Converse, all sorts of big businesses. We actually did an order for New York Sports Club. They're a publicly traded company. So there's, tons of different opportunities. We've done actually a lot of work for apps because the apps are super hot right now. So there's a lot of money going in there, and one of the best ways for them to advertise is advertise. So
I think there's some opportunities for Buyer here that might be interesting. So let's say, as you just mentioned, that there's an app, and let's say that someone owns several apps that targets this demo. Like buying a company like this would give them a new, at least marketing channel that they could do, whether they want to do on the retail side or whatever, they could do that. I also think if someone has an e-commerce company that's already, targeting that, let's say 14 to 30-year-old, female demo, then like they could have an additional product and a customer base that they could already sell to. So it'd be like a bolt-on product to the businesses that they already have running with those customers.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend this for a buyer that already has existing infrastructure that they could plug it into. I think it would be a super easy, seamless transition, whether it's an additional products add-on or if they are in the sort of printing and design space, it would be a really easy, thing to just kind of blend in with their existing business. We did a
definitely on the wholesale side, right? Because they're already working with the marketing and promotion agencies and have those established relationships, and it's something additional, it's an extra, arrow in the quiver, so to speak.
Yeah, and especially if there's a company already out there that already has a ton of contacts to basically just plug this in, it would be automatic revenue.
All right, Sean. So we've painted the dream, man. We've gone over the opportunities. We talked about what's possible here. Let's talk about the risks. What do you see as being one of the biggest risks with the site that a buyer should be aware of?
Sure. So I think the risks in this business are similar to basically any other business. First and foremost being the organic SEO traffic. And like I said before, I did lose that top spot, and my sales definitely did suffer. Those issues, like I said, have been taken care of. That's not something that I would really worry about going forward. It's always good to keep an ear out to, existing or changes that might be coming down the line. I know one change that was recently rolled out was if your website is not mobile friendly, then your rankings will go down. And I'm not sure if it's just mobile or if it's mobile and
just mobile
desktop, but
yeah.
Okay, yeah, so just mobile. So I did have the site checked, and it passed the Google mobile friendly test. So that, just little things like that definitely need to keep an eye out for. I wouldn't ignore that by any means. Other than that, I'd say you would encounter risks, increasing competition, margin pressure, just, your general risks of running a business that happens to businesses, large and small.
How many suppliers do you have?
A growth opportunity. We have 3 suppliers.
Okay, so we're not stuck with just one who could, raise their rates and cause us grief.
Yes, and I actually had one supplier, and he started to raise his prices, so I found new suppliers. So I kind of have backups to backups.
Yeah, good idea. Okay, so let's talk about the work required. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do on this site, just kind of maintain it day to day, week after week?
So basically, day-to-day operations would be, processing orders, answering emails, phone calls, which are usually all pretty brief. Occasionally, there will be a sample request, and so I'll have those made and have those sent out. And then aside from that, stuff would be the actual production of the items. So it's, at times it can be a full day's work, or even, 24 hours a day if the customer says, hey, I need 10,000 pieces by next week. So we have a certain capacity that we can handle given a certain time, and it all depends if you want the business or not. So you can say, no, we can't do it, or you just work extra hours.
How do you take those orders right now? So if someone puts in a 10,000 piece order, what do you do specifically?
Usually there will be some back and forth through email or on the phone, and then maybe samples will be sent out, or either digital or physical samples, and then, they will send a purchase order and then process the order, and then we'll produce the product. So we usually require all the payment up front. On occasion, we will do credit terms, or we'll do 50-50, but typically it's the payment is received and then we produce the product.
And you had that delivered directly from the supplier. Do they ship in your company's name, the drop shipping?
No, we create the product. Well, we have We have two manufacturers, but we also create product in-house.
Do you in particular? So you're out actually doing the work yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. So how much of your time do you think is devoted to actually creating the products for the customer?
So that is obviously dependent upon the volume, the size of the orders. I'd say an order of, say, 500 pieces would take about 3-4 hours.
Okay. So you're doing the work right now, and you never hired someone to do that work for you?
No.
Okay.
Well, at times, if there's like a really big order, then, I'll hire out some of the work to make it a little smoother. But yeah,
Gotcha.
it's not really, it would be necessary, I guess, to increase the volume. If we were running at full capacity, we could probably do, it's between maybe 500 to 700,000, maybe more, running at full capacity.
I'm just thinking, for someone that wants to buy this that doesn't want to put the time, they're willing to put the time in for the first couple of months, but they're looking to automate pieces of it. I see some opportunities definitely on the customer service side, right? At first you're talking to customers directly, but then I think you can put people in place to do that. I'm also thinking the work of producing the product, though. I'm thinking that if, as an owner, you can put someone in place, even if there's some cost there, it may be worth it to free up your time, right? It allows you to, let's say, focus on your other businesses that you have, or but if someone would have to step in there and learn the process, and then dole that out basically, and put a process in place for someone else to do it.
Yeah, 100%. And that's one of the things actually kind of built into the valuation. I put in there the labor costs. So if you were to hire someone, it would essentially be the same cost, as the valuation projects.
Gotcha.
So that's definitely room for improvement. If all the production was free and clear, then yes, definitely you would have a full day of sales and marketing, and I'm sure that the revenue would reflect that.
Are there any particular skills that someone needs to take over the site? Do they need development skills? Are there any, physical skills? Do you have to understand the niche? What requirements are in place for someone that needs to take this over?
So it's a pretty simple process. What I've developed could be easily taught. And I'd say in terms of skills, it would definitely be a plus to have some sort of design skills. Not necessarily skills, but you definitely need a knowledge of some design software, be it Illustrator, Photoshop, CorelDRAW, something of that nature, because you are taking artwork and creating, modifying, doing digital samples and stuff like that. So either the buyer or someone close to them needs to know, design software.
Awesome. So some of an eye for design, but also they have to either themselves or someone on the team has to be proficient with Photoshop, for example. Talk to me, Sean, about, let's get into some additional information about this listing. Now, if I'm a buyer, one of my concerns is that you immediately turn around and start competing with me in the exact same niche. Would you be willing to sign or commit to a non-compete with a buyer?
Yes. It would not be something that I would try and create another website.
Okay.
And compete.
One of the questions I'd have additionally would be, look, there is some amount of work required, especially when you get these larger orders, and you must have a process for that. As a buyer, I don't know that process. I don't know your process for handling email or phone calls, and so I'd want to know that you're going to be willing to sit down with me and make sure that there's a proper turnover in place. Do you have a lot of these things documented, or what kind of support are you willing to offer me if I'm going to buy the site?
Yeah, so I would definitely document it. It's not too difficult to learn, but I would definitely offer on-site training as well as, phone and email support for as long as you need it. I'd definitely be there to help the buyer. I'm not in the position to sell the business and then run away to an island somewhere and disappear. I have a lot of ideas for growth and new opportunities that I'd definitely be happy to pass on, as well as, the production methods and whatnot.
Awesome, Sean. Now ideally for you, you'd rather have 100% cash up front and we're all good. But in a situation like this, I think it might make sense if a buyer came in with an offer where it was, say 70% up front and 30% 60 days after closing or after training or something. Would you be open to something like that? Some kind of split where you got a percentage up front and then a percentage after the training's been completed?
Yeah, definitely. I don't see a problem with that. Obviously, full amount the better, but if it's contingent upon some sort of financing, I would definitely be okay with that.
Cool. Yeah, I can see that, Sean, because, someone's like, okay, I want to make sure I'm able to step into this and that, I have enough time to ask the questions and get the turnover I need to comfortably step into and run this business. Let's do a quick wrap up on the business. The niche is accessories apparel. The website is elasticbandco.com. It was built in January 2013. The monetization is e-commerce. Net profit is $6,700 a month. The net profit gets 3.3 thousand page views per month right now. The bulk of your business is done via wholesale, and it's through marketing agencies. And then there's opportunities for event coordinators and that kind of thing. You produce all of the product in-house, and that's something you currently do yourself. There's an opportunity for that to be outsourced or to be handed over to a team with the right people and process in place. So if you could tell me, what's your best pitch, or, in 30 seconds, can you tell me why someone should purchase this site?
Definitely. Essentially, it's a high margin, low competition product business that's applicable to a number of different markets, many that are untapped. It's a manufacturing business, which is rare. I believe manufacturing is returning to the U.S. Made in the USA is definitely a big selling point that many people ask me for. And the growth has been steady. The company has been around for a couple of years, which is decent time in e-commerce. And I believe there's substantial growth to further kind of the infrastructure that I've built out through increasing distribution points, as well as boosting some marketing spend and sort of fine-tuning the production process, getting away from production and focusing more on sales, which is pretty minimal at this point.
Awesome, Sean. For anyone listening to this interview that would like more information, if you're on empireflippers.com, you can look up at the right-hand corner of this listing, and you can pay the deposit. The deposit will give you all the information, all the behind-the-scenes information, including proof of traffic, all the earnings details, and everything we have, so that you can make an informed decision based on your due diligence. If you're watching this elsewhere on YouTube or wherever, you can click a link, and then that will send you over to the listing page, and you can take a look at more information, more about the site, and more about Sean. Again, Sean, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin.